I generally introduce myself as one of those four founders who are now reshaping the culture of cafe at Bharat. Me, Akshay, and Rahul, we are the three founders of the brand. If you want to build something in life or be something, then you just don't have to do your job well, but everybody's job well.
Did you start the keto store with just a little bit of money, or did you have a lot of savings?
Starbucks is just overpriced and has a lavish interior, so people go there for their branding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about aspiration. It's about the value what they are bringing in.
Thanks to our sponsor, Ellora. Ellora is a jewelry brand which has timeless and unique pieces of jewelry. So do check them out. The link is in description. To kick things off, tell us like if someone met you at a party and didn't know who you are, how would you introduce us?
It's a very tricky and witty question. What you are, it's really very difficult when somebody has to introduce themselves at a party because you cannot really adjectivize yourself what you are and what you want to do. But earlier, it was something about the personality. But now, whenever I'm going at a party, I prefer talking about the tea toast company. So I generally introduce myself as one of those four founders who are now reshaping the culture of cafe at Bharat, which is the tier 2 cities of India. A resilient startup, resilient startup, and maybe somebody who wants to bring that aspiration, that sense to the tier 2 cities of India.
So, what was the story of Tito's? Where did it all begin?
It's very fancy. The idea when me, Akshay, and Rahul, we are the three founders of the brand. Suhas joined us later, but not too late. Within the first 12 months, he joined us as the co-founder. So the story began when all three of us were at Pune a decade back. We were working in our own professions. I am a civil engineer. Akshay and Rahul are industrial production engineers, and we were staying together at Pune, and we used to hang out. At that time, it was a different story wherein Belgaum had a very handful of cafes and hotels present. And that was some kind of an, I would say, aspiration for us that something of this category should, if that was there with us back then in Belgaum, what would have been our journey during our time in college and schools and all of that. But that was just back in the head. And after 7-8 years, when we finally settled down in Belgaum, then we thought, as a passion, why can't we start something like this in Belgaum? So the idea started from there, but it was just an idea. It was just discussions when we met at a coffee shop or at a pub or something like that. But the reality really began when we started thinking, if we wanted this in Belgaum, whether same people like us want that in Kolhapur, want that in Hubli, or want that in Bijapur, whether people like us are missing in their hometown. So the story really began when we thought, why to build that in Belgaum when we can build that for India?
So, as a kid, what was your idea of success?
In childhood it was success. I mean, at that time we did not have exposure to technology that way, which was available in the metro cities. That time success was what was success? Hitting a score, dating a girl, that was success to us. I mean, in childhood, what could success be? Now, for my kid, success is like, being the first in the class or getting into the tennis club and maybe solving that cube in less than a minute. That is success for us. The measure is completely different than we were there. Crazy times. Times have changed like crazy, I would say.
So as you said, you were in Pune before. You are an civil engineer. So before Tito's, you used to work in a corporate, or what did you do?
There was, for civil engineers, there is corporate, but for us there was no as such corporate. But I worked with somebody who is my mentor. He's if you look at him, he's a very tough guy, having 35-40 years of experience. My boss is really mentor to me. Even today, when I am talking to somebody in my office or mentoring, I always take a point that I'm giving him as an example because he is somebody who has touched me. Okay, so fair, tall guy. I'm that way very short. So he's a tall, fair, healthy person. Uh, Shirt tucked in, always ironed, proper leather shoes and all of that. So he is somebody who told me during my first job that if you want to build something in life or be something, then you just don't have to do your job well, but everybody's job well. That really moved me. So that was a time when, even though I was a civil engineer and I had certain responsibilities to handle the project, I made a point that I was also learning what you are doing. And if I can get some insights from that, I was spending some extra time because, I was there alone, there was nothing else to do. And that really taught me that it is not about the skill what you learn at college. It is about the skills what you can gather every day. So that even today that is helping us because all four of us who are there in this business, we don't come from a hospitality background or we don't come from a food industry, but we are eager to learn something every day. We make so many mistakes, but we embrace that and we learn from that.
Did you start the Tito's Co with just a little bit of money, or did you have a lot of savings?
It is not about savings. So when it comes to business, so there are again three aspects to it. One is the capital investment which goes in, like the cost of infrastructure, the cost of buying a machine, or the cost of design, whatever it is. Just like procuring the mics and the camera. Yeah. Then there is second is the cost of operating it. Because once that capital is there, you require money to operate that. Pay the salaries, pay the utility bills, or there are a lot of things which are there. And number three is the time. The time you are putting into that. So that way it is an investment. Because you are dedicating your time wherein you can do something else, or you can multiply with something else and you are putting it here. That is something very important. And that is the investment everybody has to do.
Before you started Tito's company, did you was there a first hustle where you made money or just job?
Yeah, so before I came into this, I'm a first generational entrepreneur. Before I came into this, I worked at a construction firm for 4-5 years. Then I started my own construction firm. I was doing pre-engineered buildings, wherein again it's a technological way of doing traditional construction. It is more evolved, wherein the entire building was designed first, manufactured first, and then just shipped like a Lego and assembled on site. So I was doing that. I did that for around 6 years.
So that's a completely different profession.
So it's not a different profession. It's that what I learned in engineering. So this is a different profession.
So looking back, was that one turning point in your life that changed your entire direction?
One turning point in my life, not that way. It was just I like to travel and I like to travel a lot. So I like exploring things, not as a tourist, but experiencing what is there around the world. So I always had a passion for bringing in culture, building ecosystems. I can proudly say that when we are here at Belgaum, I see a lot of people getting the research done here. There are a lot of startups who are building from Tito's Co and who have built from Tito's Co globally. So that is kind of satisfaction what I get.
So when you started, when you were starting Tito's in the early stages, was money a big barrier or was it something else?
Yeah, money is barrier always. Even today for us, money is a barrier as we are expanding. We need more money every day. But the biggest challenge for us was that we had to learn the products. We had to understand the customers because all three of us we were from different backgrounds. So I was doing pre-engineered building, so my interaction was mostly with the technical staff and industrialists who want to build the factories and all of that. But Akshay, he was also into industrial construction, and Rahul was having a machine shop business wherein he was doing tooling and building products for automobile. So what was different for us, or what was challenge for us, was to understand the customer. Because when you are going from business to customers, it is a complete different segment. You know what a 18-year kid wants and what a 45-year-old professional wants, and what a woman wants. It's all different, and we need to cater to everybody, right from a child to a senior citizen. So understanding the customer, understanding the demography, understanding the market itself was a challenge for us, which we spent a lot of time. We integrated a lot of tech into it so that we know better.
Where did you meet your other founders? How did you all meet?
So Akshay, Rahul are my mates from college. Engineering we did together 4 years, and then we were in Pune, in of course different sectors, but we were staying together. So that had a bond, and the bandwidth was matching. So ultimately, when you are doing business, the in partnership, the number one thing what is important is having the right founder, is having the right partners, because it is like a marriage, right? If something goes off, then everything goes on a toss. So what a right partner is that whether they are skilled to do the job, whether they are patient enough to retain the partnership, because there are a lot of ups and downs in decisions, there are a lot of ups and downs in business. How strong is the bond, and what is their vision, whether that matches. So for me, Rahul and Akshay, we had that match in our bandwidth, which has kept us stronger even today. So any decisions what are there, we took it collectively. Then Suhas is my old friend. So he joined, he liked the vision of what we are building. And he is, somebody who has been into brand building, who is who loves research, who loves technology. So when we went to him to see if he can join us, he can mentor us in building this, because he's somebody who has scaled Vega helmets from factory in Belgaum to Asia's largest manufacturers now. So he started mentoring us, and then it excited him what we are doing, and then we said let's do it together. So that is how he also came into the picture, and now he is handling the entire technological arm of Wipros. He is building vending machines wherein we are going to install in hostels, where you just scan a QR code and the fresh item comes in, like a pizza, for example. It goes into the high-speed induction and it comes out. So that will make life easier for a hostelier if they want a pizza at 3 a.m. So we are just here to make everybody's life easier.
That's a great idea.
In your Instagram bio, I saw that you've written that you're on the way to building a 100 crore brand. So how close are you right now?
I would not say that we are close to building a 100 crore brand, but we aspire to build a 100 crore brand. Right now, we are valued at 30% of that figure presently. But every day we are working really hard to see that we are reaching it in, and I think in the next 12 months we should reach that.
But in India, the profit margins of a cafe are around 5 to 10%. So how will it work? What are your strategy to?
So one is the profit margins what there are in India and in globally, and it varies from 5% to 23% actually for cafe brands. And India is having a very progressive market for restaurants industry. Presently, the market size is 5.75 lakh crores in India, okay, which is growing again. It is the third largest industry in India. The number one is retail, and number three is hospital, restaurant, and hotels comes to number 7. Plus, what we are doing, it contributes to 25,000 crores, the tea and coffee chains in the restaurant industry. And the restaurants alone, they contribute to around 1,35,000 crores. And it is expected to grow at a scale of 8.4% per year to around 7.5 to 8 lakh crores by 2028. So there is a high chance and high probability, and India is something where everybody loves food. Yeah, so if you do it right, then you can ascertain your margins.
What's the most overrated expense that a new cafe owner just burns the money on?
Okay, new cafe owner burns the money on. I think it is, I would say, on social media. They burn a lot, which is not really required.
Like for marketing?
Yeah, as a new coffee.
But if you had to pick one growth career for a cafe, would it be marketing, pricing, or the taste of it?
It would be the experience to the customer, not all of it. It would be the experience to the, if you are giving the right experience to the customer, if you are giving that right empathy, that right handholding to the consumer, then rest everything falls in place. The customer is your first person who will market your product. Even if you are doing best of the marketing, if the customers are not happy, nobody will come to you. And this line is only about retention. It is not about acquiring new customers. It's not like selling a sneaker wherein you buy it and then you are again buying after 3 years. It is about something which unconsciously makes you come here every day. And that only comes through consumer experience.
But what I've noticed is that new cafe owners who are starting a new cafe, they overspend a lot on ambience. I think the ambience matters a lot. Is it?
Ambience do matter.
But what I've noticed is that new cafe owners who are starting a new cafe, they overspend a lot on ambience. I think the ambience matters a lot. Is it?
Ambience do matter. It plays a really important role because in today's world, it is all about the best pick on Instagram.
Yeah.
So even if the food is shitty, the place is good, then there are customers. Again, when we talk about retention, when we talk about the margins, what you asked for, it comes from the best experience. Customer loyalty is one thing, but serving well to the customers is something which is really very important. And the rest of the other things are just perks.
About the new cafe, the struggles, customers.
So the restaurant industry at whole, however glamorous it may look, it is a very I would say mundane business wherein there is a firefighting every day. It's not a very easy job. Anything can run out of stock, availability of products, frequent changes in the price, but we cannot change the price frequently on the menu. We do it every 2 years, I would say. But there are so many variants which are there, so many ingredients which are coming into your product, and the prices change every week. So that strategy to do it, then employment, training is very important. We have seen the Indian restaurant industry is having the highest iteration rate in employees. So nobody will work more than 6 months in one place. Though it is the third largest contributor in employment. So that is the biggest challenge. So it comes from training, it comes on how you are treating your employees, how you are paying them, that you can retain them.
If I were to open a cafe tomorrow, what would be the 3 rules that I must follow?
Number one is the location. Anybody who wants to open a cafe, location will, govern whether it will succeed or fail. So location has to be chosen very wisely. You have to check whether the customers what you want or what you aspire should come to you are present in that region. That is that spending culture there in that region. Is it culturally appropriate to have the cafe there? That is number one. Number two is your staff because they are your brand ambassadors. So you have to choose the staff wisely. You have to treat them well and you have to train them well. And number three is the right product. I would not comment on pricing and I would not comment on the cuisine because it is, it's everybody's passion to serve what they want to do. But these three are very common which have to be looked at before you start your cafe.
When we had a podcast with Irshad Sadar, so he said that restaurants, usually like new restaurants, in 5 to 10 years, 90% of the restaurants close. So is it the same with the cafes?
So when we are talking about restaurants, the investment is too high. When we are talking about cafes, the investment is not that high. Okay, so we have seen around 70% cafes closing every year. Okay, so if 90% of restaurants can close in the 7 to 8 years, 70% cafes can close every year.
So this is a tough business to crack.
And 90% of the startup fail because of ideas not validated.
And also if the partners are not, the ideas are not aligned.
Yeah.
And there will be so many disputes among the partners, which will lead.
You have to choose the right partners, and I am fortunate with God's grace that I have the best of them.
Once Cafe Coffee Day was India's biggest cafe chain, but now they have lost their dominance. So, what do you think that you have learned from their gain and from their rise and fall?
See, when we come into business, things like this happen, and it was very unfortunate even for India to lose Cafe Coffee Day, though they are building strong every day. But it was, something which should not have happened to India, I would say, because at the time when there was no cafe culture, Cafe Coffee Day had established themselves in all tier 2 cities. Even in Belgaum, I think we had 2 Cafe Coffee Days. Though the price was too high for us, but that map, we were there on the map. And with the right to stay, would have been the Starbucks of today. The same happened with Kingfisher Airlines. So it was really surprisingly, it was a really good airline, comfortable, entertaining, but it happens.
So how many outlets do you have across India?
Presently, we are having 10 stores. We are dominantly present in south of Maharashtra and north of Karnataka, and we are planning to add 2 stores each month going forward.
Just in the southern part of the country, or you want to expand all over India?
Right now we are targeting from Mumbai to Mysore and from Hyderabad to Goa. Call it a Deccan Plateau.
So I was wondering, at the peak of Cafe Coffee Day, that's 1700 outlets, and still they had downfall. So how could you avoid the same fate as them?
So what we have to do is we have to be very mindful of what we are doing, what we are getting into, how much we are raising, how much we are deploying. And when you have that math right, only do it then. It is business is about risk taking, but it is also about taking it very wisely. Investing in products what will work, not just investing blindly. So we are very mindful and careful about that. So we took a lot of time before we could expand, and then now we are expanding when we have the right market. And plus we have a very lean model. So I think we are on the right track.
Indians still drink 7 times more tea than coffee. So, do cafes like yours fight culture or competition?
So we are a tea cafe ideally, and of course we sell more tea, but there is a big gap between selling the tea and selling the coffee. Well, number one is the pricing, and number one is the liking. tea is, something which is an emotion to everybody, and coffee is something which should never go wrong, because you cannot serve a wrong coffee. So it is about the art, how you brew both of that. We brew both fresh, both ripe, and that is why we are having, consumers who are coming for both tea and coffee, and we have good numbers with that.
They sell more coffee or tea?
We sell more tea. We are the tea toast company.
Do you think Starbucks is overpriced or they deserve the price?
So it is not about pricing is something is which is very sensitive. It is never about the pricing. I mean, the same cup of coffee can be sold at $50 and also $500. The same beans. No, it is about categorization. Number one, it is about what kind of people you want in your place, and it is about what kind of aspiration you want to build. So, will you be inspired to hold a Starbucks cup and click a photo, or will you be inspired to have that filter coffee cup and click a photo? So it is all about the value what you bring on the table.
So many people say that Starbucks is just overpriced and has a lavish interior. So people go there for their branding.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's about aspiration. It is about the value what they are bringing in. It is about the ecosystem what they are creating, and we are happy to say that we have created a better ecosystem in Dear to Space.
I have heard that Starbucks uses a strategy which attracts customers. Like they have these scents in their walls, which they have coffee flavored scents.
The paint is coffee flavored. The
Yeah.
fragrance is coffee flavored.
So ideally, it is about the aroma.
Yeah.
What takes you to subconsciously make a decision. That is what everybody does. Yeah. So
Customer experience.
yeah. So when you smell what is there, you buy it.
Yeah.
So it's something what what everybody does. Like if you go to a lemon tree hotel, they have the aroma of lemongrass. If you go to a 5-star hotel, it always smells well. You feel relaxed. You feel that you are whatever shitty money you have spent it right.
Yeah.
It's all about creating the aroma.
Even if the Starbucks coffee tastes bad, you just have a photo on your story. And you're like, oh wow.
Just to flex it.
So like I said, coffee is a acquired taste. It is, coffee can be, for me, I drink like 3 coffees a day. At the right temperature, at the right pressure, and at the right time. So whenever I ask my barista to brew a coffee for me, it will be 9 atmospheric pressure, grinded finely, and taken out at exactly 27 seconds. So that is coffee for me. So it is different for anybody else. It is same with tea. The tea what you have at your home, maybe something what your mummy has prepared and something what your father has done. It is completely different, right? But tea is tea. It gives you that kind of energy. So that is why India runs on tea. Yeah, and
Has the feeling of home.
yes, it's a home product. And coffee is something which has to be right. It cannot go bad. So it's the right art and the right choice. So whenever you feel that you had a bad coffee, then either the ingredients are wrong or it is brewed wrong.
Okay, now we'll do a quick rapid fire segment. This segment is brought to you by Elora. This segment is as timeless and sharp as their jewelry. Okay, so do you prefer coffee or tea?
Tea.
Money or passion?
Passion and money both, yeah. Cannot choose.
Expand or perfect one cafe?
Expand.
First thing you do if Tito's hit 100 crore?
First thing I would do if Titost has 100 crores is I would multiply that to another 100 branches.
Who has been your biggest inspiration?
My first job, Ravindra Shinde, is always been my biggest inspiration and the biggest mentor.
Who is one entrepreneur that you'd never take advice from?
Donald Trump.
Worst food trend that you've seen?
Bagel.
You don't like bagels. Will you bring croissants and the things and eat those?
Yes, yes. We have a lot of things in pipeline. And like I said, that we study the consumers first. We study the market first, even we can launch. Because there are so many things which are available in the world to bring. But we think about sustainability, we think about supply chain. And all decisions are data driven. We never take a decision out of passion, out of, I would say, out of fear of not doing it first. All our decisions are data driven. Even choosing right from choosing the location to having the product to pricing to choice of colors, everything is data driven.
So before we wrap things up, what's one advice you would like to give to every 18-year-old watching?
The one advice what I would like to give to everybody is to be mentally fit and to be physically healthy. Businesses can be built, businesses can fall, but it is about your resilience of what will make you different.
It was a very good, I've learned a lot from this convo. Tito's is a very planned cafe and they have a great vision. So I've learned a lot. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast.